I've been observing this community for some time, and now I have a story to share. I'm a 36-year-old mother of two, residing in Florida with my husband and our children, Lisa and Brian. I always appreciate the position I'm in, particularly when it comes to creating a loving home for my family. Unfortunately, a persistent source of tension over the years has been the constant criticism from my in-laws regarding my parenting. My mother-in-law, Christina, and father-in-law, Richard, both in their late 70s, hold traditional views on parenting. They believe I'm too lenient with my kids and lack sufficient discipline. Their unsolicited advice on child rearing makes me feel like I'm not doing a good job, and it's become increasingly irritating. They often comment on my children's diet, expressing concerns about sugar consumption and predicting dire consequences. Their comments range from predicting dental issues to speculating about future hyperactivity due to sugar intake. Despite my assurance that my kids eat a balanced diet, the critiques persist. When faced with these criticisms, I found it challenging to address the issue directly, given that they are my in-laws. My silence, however, allowed their constant nitpicking to erode my resolve gradually. I felt increasingly overwhelmed, with their calls even serving as reminders of my perceived inadequacies as a mother. I confided in my understanding husband, sharing the toll these interactions were taking on my well-being. However, my struggle to confront my in-laws about their behavior meant that I silently endured their constant disapproval, feeling my sanity slip away with each passing day. However, I found myself in a state of helplessness, torn between acknowledging the challenges and recognizing that they were, after all, his parents. When I approached him formally regarding his parents' antics, it brought forth a new set of problems. I find myself needing more support, as it appears I'm the sole advocate for my beliefs while you remain passive. I understand that my parents can be bothersome, but it's part of the grandparents' role to engage in such behavior. You seem hesitant to confront them, claiming it's not true, but deep down you're afraid to admit your reluctance to go against your parents for the well-being of our family. You're delusional. The truth is you're afraid. What if I occasionally agree with them? Sometimes they do go overboard with screen time, but before having kids, we agreed to limit it, even considering eliminating TVs and accessible devices. Now it seems that's all they use. If you feel they have too much screen time, only 5 times a week, totaling 9 hours, why don't you communicate with me about it? Why is it that, even though they have their dad in their lives, you're absent? I am here. I do things. I pay the bills and play with them sometimes. Being a parent is more than just financial contributions, Jerry. If I had known this was your expectation, I might have reconsidered having children with you. It's about remembering birthdays and sports events, reading them stories before bed and caring for them when they're sick or upset, things you consistently forget and neglect. I find myself shouldering the majority of responsibilities, and it's unjust that you persist in disrespecting me in our home. I know I'm a good father, but your selfishness prevents you from recognizing that. Our disagreements have been ongoing, and it's evident that we struggle to see eye to eye. Following our recent argument, tension lingered between us, only intensifying with subsequent events. As previously mentioned, I became increasingly fatigued by persistent belittling and micromanaging, behaviors that inevitably push individuals to their limits. One afternoon, I reached a breaking point when Christina and Richard unexpectedly visited, taking the opportunity to criticize my parenting and mothering skills. "Sweetheart, are you certain the kids should be playing outside at this time? They might get sunburned. It's quite hot." "They have sunscreen, Christina, and it's just for a brief period, around 32 minutes, before their evening activities. Nevertheless, I find the constant criticism rather disheartening. Why do you always insist on being an inadequate mother?" "We're just trying to offer assistance, Ashley. I appreciate the concern, but I have everything under control. If I require advice, I'll seek it out." "Christina, I was mentioning that I don't appreciate her tone. It's consistently sharp." "I'm sorry you feel that way. It's a boundary I've communicated, and it appears you're offended." "Of course we're offended. How can you treat us like this? We came over because we missed you and the kids, and this is how you speak to us." "No, you came here because you were bored and wanted to belittle and micromanage my parenting skills." "What? That's absurd. Did you hit your head or something? How could you even think that?" "Wait until Jerry returns home from work. You'll regret speaking to us in such a manner. We're only trying to assist you. I take pride in my role as a mother, and it's disheartening that you fail to acknowledge my efforts. It seems both of you are speaking from a place of privilege. You only became parents to Jerry when he was 15, never having experienced the challenges of raising children under the age of 15. Lisa and Brian, at 11 and 12, present their own set of difficulties. Therefore, I don't believe either of you is qualified to dictate how I should effectively parent. Surprisingly, I recently managed to surprise Lisa and Brian, but my moment of triumph was short-lived. Self-righteous individuals always find something to criticize, even when it lacks substance. The argument persisted. Well, this behavior is unprecedented. What is wrong with you? Have you no shame or respect? Were you raised in a barn? Apologize to us this instant. Contrary to your expectations, I adhere to the belief that apologies should only be given when genuinely warranted. Unfortunately for both of you, I feel no remorse for my words because they were undeniably true. You may be further surprised to learn that I instill these same principles in Lisa and Brian. Their gasps resembled a scene from a soap opera. Do you believe you're smarter or wiser than us? We're older and we know what's best. Let me call Jerry right now. Go ahead and call him. I don't care if it's 3 against 1, I know I'm right. You seem incapable of admitting your faults. It won't harm you to say I was wrong, Ashley, and I'm sorry. Apologize to you? For what? For being terrible grandparents and in-laws? Absurd. If you think this is absurd, just wait and see. As I exited the room to collect my emotions, I couldn't help but contemplate the situation. I realized that mere words wouldn't convince them to step down from their high horse. They needed a tangible experience to bring them back to reality. As I anxiously paced, keeping an eye on my children through the window, it suddenly struck me. I swiftly returned to the dining table, where Christina and Richard appeared ready to depart. Where do you think you're headed, both of you? Home, perhaps? It seems our guidance and assistance have fallen on deaf ears. Therefore, we've chosen to relocate our privilege elsewhere. Thank you. Oh no, you two aren't making a move. You're staying right here. I'll step back and let you assume the parental roles you've neglected but are now eager to instill in Lisa and Brian. What? Maybe it's high time I embrace civility, considering my barn upbringing. I didn't mean that, Ashley. We were just caught up in the heat of the moment. So it seems you're ready to embrace refined manners now. Please, make yourselves at home and take on the role of the exemplary grandparents for your grandchildren. But we're without our clothes and toiletries. No need to fret. I'll give Jerry a call and have him drop by your place. He can bring your belongings if necessary. You can also pick up toiletries at the grocery store. Let's head there now, and we can bring the kids along, demonstrating how well-behaved and angelic they can be in grocery stores. All of that won't be necessary. Come on, kids. We're going to the store. Upon hearing the word store, they eagerly darted inside, covered in dirt and dust, their smiles spreading from ear to ear. Any mother could discern that behind those smiles lay a mischievous plan to wreak havoc in the store. Unfortunately for Christina and Richard, they remained unaware of what awaited them. As we arrived at the store, I decided to declare, Lisa, Brian, Christina, and Pop are going to play a game with you, okay? They will assume the roles of your parents temporarily. Right now, I need you to accompany them inside the store and act as if they are your actual parents. The children eagerly nodded, anticipating the promised chaos and excitement, and hurried into the store. Are you sure about this? One of them questioned. Oh, I'm positive. Go ahead, pick out what you need. Jerry should be home soon, and everything will be ready for a delightful evening of parenting during our sleepover. Okay, whatever, replied one of the kids dismissively. Christina, considering it just a trip to the grocery store, commented, How hard could it be? However, what was supposed to be a quick task ended up taking nearly an hour. The kids emerged from the store laden with snacks and toys, while Christina and Richard, trailing behind, looked visibly fatigued, as if they had aged 25 years. I chuckled to myself at the scene. What happened, guys? Why all the toys? I inquired. They wouldn't stop screaming for them, causing a scene, so we had to give in and get them whatever they wanted just to make them quiet, explained Christina. You get used to that. But where are your things? I asked. Oh shoot, we forgot those. We were so overwhelmed with the kids that we completely forgot, Christina admitted. Huh, interesting. I'll go back and get the necessary items. Please keep them entertained, Richard said, excusing himself. Richard managed to retrieve the needed toiletries, and we finally made our way home. Jerry greeted us with a worried expression. Why are my parents staying the night? He questioned. Lisa, Brian, go play with your toys and get ready for bath time while Mommy talks to your new parents. You'll be getting an extra parent tonight. Yes, my baby's daddy is finally going to help you with the things that Mommy normally does, I explained to the excited kids. The children looked thrilled, reveling in the unexpected treats of the day, but their new parents appeared noticeably concerned. What's going on, Jerry? If you really must know, I began. I've decided to entrust the role of the present and caring parent to you three for the next 32 hours. During this time, your task is to demonstrate that you are the superior parents. If successful, I commit to following all of your advice unquestioningly. Additionally, I pledge to cater to your every whim and pamper you at least once a week upon request without any inquiries. The opportunity to be pampered whenever desired is on the table. Now, Jerry, before we proceed, let's discuss this for a moment. Oh, come on, Christina, are you still affected by the incident at the store earlier? It was just a fluke, a momentary lapse. We can handle this. After all, it's 3 against 1, and success is inevitable. I appreciate your enthusiasm for the challenge, but I want to make it clear that if you fail, the tables will turn, and you 3 will be responsible for pampering and spoiling me, all while refraining from commenting on my parenting. Deal? Despite their confidence, the task proved to be far from easy. In less than 21 minutes, Christina and Richard found themselves screaming as Lisa and Brian terrorized them. The grandparents' attempts to assist with bath time were futile, leaving Jerry to step in and manage with less than stellar results. Wiping down the kids with baby wipes and haphazardly dressing them in pajamas. With the tasks completed, Christina inquired if they could now rest, only to be informed that their duties as present parents had just begun. They were now tasked with entertaining the children with educational content, preparing dinner, feeding the kids, helping with homework, playing with them, reading bedtime stories, and managing their morning routine. The trio attempted to divide the responsibilities, with Richard deciding to serve a fancy dinner filled with flavors unfamiliar to the children, thinking it would be a smart move. Who would have thought that serving kids a salad with olives and feta cheese in it would be a recipe for disaster? Richard, of course. The kids, unsurprisingly, detested the concoction and made their distaste abundantly clear with temper tantrums. Lisa, the older one, flat out refused to eat, while Brian, being a toddler, had a full-blown meltdown. The new parents were in a state of panic, unsure of how to handle the situation. Meanwhile, I calmly sipped on my chamomile tea, anticipating more chaos. Eventually, Richard gave in to the kids' demands and opted for a simple pizza dinner. Next up was Christina, who faced considerable difficulty with her assigned tasks. She appeared worn out and exhausted, choosing to do the kids' homework for them rather than patiently teaching them how to arrive at the correct answers through their intellect. Jerry wasn't any better. His idea of playing with the kids involved letting them watch whatever they wanted on TV and the iPad, blatantly disregarding the strict rule of no more than 9 hours of screen time per week. Despite having already exceeded their weekly limit, Jerry couldn't be bothered to be a more present parent, justifying his actions with questionable logic. As bedtime approached, Jerry struggled to get his hyperactive children to settle down. It took him 5 hours to finally put them to bed, and once he was done, he promptly retreated to our bedroom and collapsed on the bed. Little did Jerry, Christina, and Richard know, a surprise awaited them in the morning. My kids are early birds, waking up by 5 a.m. I took it upon myself to make their morning wake-up routine a bit livelier by banging pots and pans. Confusion ensued as Jerry, Christina, and Richard, groggy from sleep, wondered if something terrible had happened. I clarified that it was 5:30 in the morning, and this was simply our kids' favorite way of waking us up, a fact Jerry and I had forgotten to mention. Jerry was aware of this situation but didn't see the need to inform us. It must have slipped his mind. He has developed the skill of ignoring such matters and sleeping through them, but that won't happen on my watch. Christina took the initiative to wake up Jerry and lead him to the assembly line. Today's tasks promise to be quite enjoyable. The first step is to guide the children through their morning reflection meditation, with special attention needed for Brian, who particularly dislikes this routine. Afterward, convincing them to behave well will earn them a healthy snack before their daily bath. The next order of business is preparing breakfast, followed by a trip to the park for some playtime. Upon returning home, you can engage them in baking cookies, as they take those treats to school with them. Following these activities, the responsibilities continue with preparing their lunch and tidying up their rooms and bathrooms. Once those are completed, the living room needs attention. However, the overwhelming nature of these tasks prompts one individual to admit defeat, acknowledging that they were wrong in their earlier judgments. Despite the desire to quit, it's made clear that parenting doesn't work that way. Ashley asserts that they must continue, leading to complaints from the exhausted participants. Ashley points out that their criticism of her parenting skills doesn't hold weight when they collectively fail to endure a mere 30 hours of active parenting. The day concludes with 3 disgruntled individuals reluctantly accepting defeat and pampering Ashley throughout the weekend, bringing a sense of revenge and satisfaction.